If you remember the name Lorena Bobbit, then you know what this story was, because it made national headlines. It happened here locally in Virginia, in a little town south of here. This woman, Lorena Bobbit, became famous because one night, sleeping next to her husband, John Wayne Bobbit, she decided that she was going to take some retribution against him for her perceived grievances. And so she slipped out of bed that night and went into the kitchen. And she found the sharpest knife she could find. And she returned to bed, pulled the covers down gently, as not to wake him, slipped off whatever garment he was wearing, if he was wearing one at all. Maybe that's the sign you should be wearing something to bed. And she removed his member, cut it clean off, and then threw it, like out the window or something. I mean, it was crazy. Cops came, they retrieved the lost member, and I guess he went to surgery and it was replaced. What Lorena did was what so many women do verbally and emotionally and psychologically to men every single day around the world. She emasculated him. Now, she didn't remove his testicles, obviously, but the effect was essentially the same. Now, here's where things get really sick. Is Lorena never paid a price for her crime. She did not go to jail. She was found not guilty due to temporary insanity. Yeah, exactly. So, our culture, our society, our country endorses the emasculation of men, both physically and emotionally and psychologically. And so today, that's what I'm going to talk about. Male emasculation, how it's happening, what it looks like, how to know it's happening to you, and what to do about it when it does. This is Life 2.0. Let's talk about it. So what exactly is emasculation? It is both big and small signs of disrespect that women show to men regularly. I don't think that they're always doing it with intention. I think that on some level women will do this without realizing it, but it nevertheless has become a cultural norm. We see this all the time, especially in the West. In the United States, I like to think that we are Emasculation Nation, because emasculation has become so ingrained in our day-to-day life that we don't even notice it when it happens. Like that show Modern Family, which was really funny, but it was all about subtle signs of male disrespect. Now, I'm not talking about just being able to laugh at yourself or have a sense of humor. It's more than that. It goes deeper than that. It's cutting a man down to his competence and saying that he's not a capable man because of whatever, you know? Usually it happens when a man thinks that he has reached his greatest pinnacle. You know, something great has happened in his life. You know, he made the big sale, or he scored a touchdown, or, you know, had a great victory. And he's celebrating. He's usually celebrating visually, verbally, physically. He's just having the best time of his life. It's at that moment when it's very common for a woman to step in and say, you're really not all that, you know. You're really not that great. You didn't do this, you didn't do that. I remember hearing this example of this guy who was on our life insurance validation list. He had to sell a bunch of life insurance policies. And he made a big sale. And he comes back to the office and he's just pumping his fist and he's having a great time. And the woman who processes his applications, seeing all of his enthusiasm, said, well, you're not even halfway to validation yet. You still have a lot more to do. And by the way, your paperwork sucks. You know, it's like those kinds of things, like right at that moment, are just designed to bring him down. They're designed to emasculate him, to make him feel like he is not a success in his own right. Women do this so often that we just take it for granted that a woman will do that whenever we're celebrating a victory. It's just commonplace. I remember bringing home, like, my own mother. I remember in the 8th grade, I brought home, out of 6 classes, I had 5 A's and 1 B. And she said, well, that's that's fine, son, but really, you should have been working harder in English to get that B up to an A. You know what I mean? It's like there is no sense of validation there. There's no sense of honoring the victory or allowing the celebration. It's as if they're trying to tear us down. And that is exactly what they're doing. But why they're doing it is what's so interesting. Just a few more examples. So she criticizes you about everything all the time. She thinks she's very critical when you're trying to do your job as provider and protector, and you're making decisions on the best behalf of the family. And she is questioning your judgment and is being critical and even openly angry about the things that you're doing that really are in her best interest in the long run. You can't read her mind. And because you can't read her mind, she thinks you're an idiot. Because she wants you to do something, but she's not telling you to do it. And if you're not reading her mind, then she thinks that you're incompetent, you're incapable. These are all signs of disrespect, but really they're subtle emasculations. They're constantly tearing you down. They don't want you to feel too good. They don't want you to feel strong. They don't want you to feel capable. And which is ironic because they need our strength and they need our capability. The reason women are drawn to men is for our strength and our competence. Yet, once they have us in hand, once they are in a committed relationship with us, they want to dismantle some of that strength and some of that competence. And I think that there's a very interesting primal reason as to why they do that. And they do it, like I said, almost instinctively. It's not that they're even aware that they're doing it. It's almost as if they have to do it, which is really the crazy thing. The primal reason women are almost compelled to emasculate men is that they are at one time drawn to men and they are afraid of men. And this goes back for, thousands and thousands and thousands of years, where women needed to seek out partnership with men as a way to protect them and provide for them. So provide and protect. But the protection was really a lot more visceral. It was like, there's a tiger at the door. You've got to have a man that will stand between you and that tiger. And women needed that man. The problem is that men are way, way, way stronger than women. Like way stronger. Like even just an average man is probably stronger than the strongest women. And like maybe there's some steroid monsters out there, but for the most part, average guys are stronger than the strongest natural women by far. So women are threatened by men, and for good reasons. I mean, through history, men have been doing all the pillaging and the other stuff. You know what I'm talking about, since the beginning of time. So men can enforce their will physically on a woman. They can physically enforce their will on a woman. So when a woman is in a relationship with a man, on some level, she's both happy to have this man to provide and protect, but at the same time, she doesn't want him to feel too strong. She wants to have control. And through this process of emasculation, women believe that they're gaining a measure of control over their man. But what's really happening here is the man, when this emasculation happens, well, first thing he's doing is he's shutting down. Like he's not open to conversation anymore. He's withdrawing from the relationship. He no longer wants to provide and protect. And when it goes on long enough, he leaves the relationship altogether. And women don't understand how destructive that emasculation is and how it turns even the most blue pill guy into someone who wants to have nothing to do with a woman. So emasculation is a defense mechanism that women have developed over the last, 10,000 years or so. But it is now a method of destruction in our modern day relationships. It's destroying our ability to have healthy relationships with women. So women are drawn to men because of their strength. That's part of the chemistry that everyone talks about. And it's not just physical strength, it's moral strength, it's intellectual strength, it's strength of being able to be a provider, financial strength. All of these strengths draw women into men. And there are some instinctual, primal need for women to feel safe. And so being around a strong man is critical to that sense of safety. I remember years ago talking to my daughters about this issue in particular, and they both expressed how unsafe they felt all the time. I mean, all the time. And I've heard this from other women too, where they just have a general feeling of fear all the time. And this is a concept that men do not have. Most men rarely feel fear, real fear, in their daily life. Maybe they'll feel it a couple of times in their lifetime, but very, very often. I mean, even jumping out of an airplane, I remember feeling exhilarated. Maybe it was a little bit of fear, but it wasn't like paralyzing fear. Women feel that paralyzing fear. And so they're drawn to men for safety, for that sense of protection. And this is primal. That means it's first. That means it's built into their systems. This is not something that they get culturally. This is something that is just the way they're made. It's been there so long that it has evolutionarily evolved within their cell structure, within their DNA, to seek safety. This is something that they do. Now, of course, this is at odds with feminism, because feminism struggles with this. They think that by having equal rights and being able to earn money, that it will relieve the sense of insecurity, the sense of fear that they have. And it doesn't. Making money does not remove the fear. Making money just gives them options, and they think that it's going to put them on a playing field that's even with us in terms of, relationships, but it actually does exactly the opposite. It undermines our relationships. That's why men don't give a fuck how much money you make or what job you have or what you're doing with your life. None of that really matters to them at all. Men really just want to be able to provide and protect. That's our job. That's how we feel useful. And when we are in that role and we're doing it well, we feel whole. And when women see us doing that job well, when they see us providing and protecting and being our natural, healthy, strong, authentic selves, well, it kind of freaks them out. Because on the one hand, they are drawn to us. On the other hand, they're afraid of us. And it's that fear that underlies everything in a woman's life that is destructive to our relationships with them. It's that continuous fear that they have that leads to them trying to tear us down, to make us less of a threat by using manipulative techniques like emasculation to gain some kind of psychological control over us so that they don't feel as threatened by our presence, by our physical strength, by our ability to provide and protect. Unwillingly or unknowingly, they're actually destroying what they desire so much. When they tear down our strength by being emasculating or manipulative, they are actually putting themselves in greater danger, because our ability to provide and protect is diminished when we feel emasculated. The cultural programming she gets is that she has the right to emasculate you. Not only the right to emasculate you, she has a responsibility to emasculate you, to control you, to keep you under wraps. And if she doesn't, then she's not only letting down, herself, but she's letting down all women. Like she is in some way not doing her job as a woman if she's not controlling her man through manipulative techniques like emasculation. And our society as a whole, especially backed up with all these blue-pilled guys who think it's going to make their lives better, get them laid, it doesn't. It actually does the exact opposite. It makes everyone less safe. It makes everyone more likely to suffer the consequences of having a bunch of emasculated men around. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. I see on TikTok recently there is this meme where idiot girls will take images or videos of guys just being guys, whether it's their boyfriend or just some random guys out on the street, and say, in years past, this guy fought wars. Now look what he's doing. And he's like, playing with his music, or he's playing a video game, or he's, sleeping on a bench, whatever. Part of that is because these women have emasculated these men to some degree. And these men are withdrawing from their role of being protector and provider. And now these women are shaming them publicly for the outcomes that they, in part, created. I mean, it's the most effed up thing you can imagine. It's like they're tearing this man down and destroying him, and then they're mocking him because he's torn down and destroyed. It's just It's just sadistic, you know, it really is. So even though emasculation is something that comes naturally to women, it's not something that we need to put up with. This is not something that is healthy for a relationship, and it's not something that we individually or as a gender, as men, should be putting up with. So here's how you're going to deal with it if a woman emasculates you in public or in private or at any time. First of all, you've got to call it out. You got to tell her, I'm sorry, you can't talk to me like that. I understand that at some level you might be afraid, but emasculating me or manipulating me are not pathways to resolving this in a positive way. Please do not ever do that again. And you've got to be firm about it. Now, you don't need to be an asshole about it, but you need to be firm. Because I guarantee you, most of the time, she doesn't realize what she's doing. She doesn't fully understand the impact of what she's doing. And you may be able to have a great conversation with her and help her understand exactly what it is. It makes it much easier as a man if when you're looking at her, you see a child. Now, I've said in other videos, women are children. And I do mean that. This is another way that they are children. This fear that runs through them is the same kind of fear that children have, being afraid of the dark. It's irrational. It doesn't make any sense. It's the kind of fear that cannot be explained away as a general rule. But at specific moments, you can reduce the fear by taking her hand and saying, I understand that you're afraid. You're safe. I will protect you. I got this. I will take care of you. You are fine. I think what most men don't realize is that this behavior that destroys our relationships is coming from this fearful place. And once you have that in your head and you see your woman as a child, as a little girl that's just afraid, then it makes it much easier to deal with it. Because when we deal with her as an adult, when we assume that she's like another man and she's saying these mean, negative, manipulative things, well, you want to punch her in the face, but you can't do that because she's a woman. But now, if you see her as a child and she's acting out in these ways that are manipulative, well, you stop seeing her as a threat. You stop seeing her as an adult. You see her as someone who's defenseless, someone who's afraid, someone who is incapable of managing the situation. And you don't need to express that to her, but just your knowing it will give you the power to deal with this situation appropriately. At the end of the day, being a man means feeling secure in your masculinity, being able to call her out for her childlike behaviors, her fear, help her understand it. Maybe it'll make some sense to her, but you don't need to argue with her about it. You just need to set your boundaries and stand firm in your strength and your masculinity. If you allow her to manipulate you and to diminish your self-esteem, your strength, your masculinity through these manipulations and these emasculative conversations or these comments that emasculate you, then you are giving up your masculinity to her. And there's no reason for you to do that. So, if your woman is doing this, just call her out, set a boundary, don't argue, just stand strong, and you'll be fine. At the end of the day, women are like children. And as soon as you get that thought through your head and you start to see them in that light, dealing with them in difficult situations becomes so much easier. Because if you've ever raised a child, you know that you don't rationalize with them. You deal with their feelings. You deal with their emotions. And fear is a powerful, powerful feeling and emotion. And when a child is afraid, oftentimes it takes a hug to settle it, to solve it. And sometimes that's all you need to do with your woman. All right, you guys, that's all I got for you today. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe. If you think you know somebody who might benefit from it, please share this video with them. There's so many relationships that are going down the tubes just because we don't have this simple, basic understanding that women are childlike. And once you get that through your head, everything becomes a lot easier. Anyway, until next time, stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.